Hello and welcome to the Modern Human Podcast with Wendy
and Brenda. Hello, everyone.
Hey guys. We wanted to talk today about the divine feminine. It came up in the painting. You can see it here with the Ankh and the Sphinx, the great Sphinx. Though I painted it in the painting, it's really about kind of this opening that's happening within us. And though we define it as divine feminine, part of the information that came through is that we need to start thinking about it as characteristics or aspects of ourselves, like genderless, like these are aspects of ourselves, no matter if you're male or female, though because of where we're at in our consciousness, defining it as feminine, there's no harm in that. But just seeding the idea that these are just aspects of all souls. And in this great awakening, in the spiritual awakening, just looking at them as characteristics or aspects of our being and not like the divine feminine right? So we're going to kind of talk further about that and just its implications and some of the things that we're moving through collectively and individually. They might be showing up for you in different ways. We're going to talk about that, right?
And it's really important to understand that the feminine is a place of power that's been imbalanced in this reality, in this world. And I am not sure about any of the other incarnations that we've had. I have some guesses about it. And yet for this incarnation, since we restarted our lives here in these last couple of thousands of years, this feminine has been consistently invalidated and abused and manipulated by everyone. There's no one to blame. There's nothing wrong. We have taken it and exploited it in ways that we have to take responsibility for now. And I feel like that's really what's been coming up for Wendy and myself really for this month. And we're really excited. And to be honest, we're really uncomfortable here. A lot of things that we were just talking about a minute ago before we started recording was that we're angry. You know, we're noticing this anger within us. And anger is truly a place of power. It lets you know that you have boundaries that are being crossed. It kind of provides the vehicle or the oomph behind whatever is going on inside with your authentic self. And last month we talked a lot about that. What is authentic for you? And so then we move into this next space and we're noticing I'm going to use the word pissed off about so many things. And I'm dreaming about the feminine being manipulative and conniving and attempting to kind of like corral things to move a particular way. And now there are imbalances with the masculine. And again, we're separating something that is not separate and it has no gender. And so kind of understanding that we need to take responsibility for how we show up, what we believe, what we choose to cultivate for ourselves. And this is one of the things I feel right now is really being called out for all of us. And part of that is, I'm kind of angry, and maybe fleshing that out, unraveling all of the nuances of why am I angry. And some of that is, yes, I'm angry at how I felt I was treated, and yet I'm angry at myself for engaging in behaviors that innocently I was showing up to, let's say, convince someone to do something. So let's say I love to cheerlead, I love to support, and yet understanding that there are times when I cheerleaded in a way to maybe have the outcome I wanted. That is a subtle, and it's, again, we're not doing anything wrong. It's like noticing that I don't need to convince anyone of anything. I can identify and own what feels right for me. Am I making sense?
Yeah, yes, in some ways it's about taking your power back. So, taking responsibility when you're saying you're cheerleading, which would be assigned as a more of a feminine thing, do you think? Maybe cheer, really kind of supporting.
No, this is really great, and this is why it's all great.
You're amazing, and
well, yes, partly that, but partly for the concept or the ideas, we don't need to explain ourselves. And maybe that's another way of saying it. We don't have to explain ourselves. We get to just own our place in it, how we feel, what we think, and that's power.
Right. And moving into, I feel like the divine feminine is also defined as the this more intuitive flowing state, and where the masculine would be more of the mechanical, planned, controlled kind of execution doing space, where, the feminine is going to be feeling and flow and organic.
Open. It's like an openness to it, obviously.
Which even in those definitions right there would be the left hemisphere of your brain versus the right hemisphere of your brain. And so you can see it organized in that way, where we're recognizing throughout research that you do need both sides of your brain, and that's a different kind of intelligence, but you start stepping into where you're utilizing your whole brain and you have access to whole other parts of your brain function but being in general. So but noticing where that feeling or that flow state or that way of, the right side of the brain is more about this kind of putting all the pieces together, more of a bird's eye view kind of perspective instead of the details of the left brain. Where that throughout history and throughout our culture has really been devalued. So really thinking that the arts, the music, the painting, really has
the feeling space.
The feeling space has less value than the logical, systematic, ways of functioning. And we have seen the destructive nature of that, thinking that the left side of the brain, which is the logical, is thinking it has more value than the right side, right?
And that things must be evidence-based to be true. I mean, I feel like that's one of the ways that we've lost our way. There doesn't necessarily need to be evidence for what feels right for you or what's authentic for you. We buy into these systems of functioning that are based on this structure embedded with logic. Simple, nope, this is the evidence of it. And some of that evidence simply is, we've always done it this way. And that's, to me, not a strong argument. It truly isn't.
Right. Or even like something as an example of that is to say, and I always bring this up in these things, is like chocolate cake. Let's say, everyone loves chocolate cake. The research has shown 98% of people love chocolate cake. Well, I don't like chocolate cake. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You like vanilla cake or whatever, white cake, but you don't like chocolate cake. But that's how it's been abused, because it denotes value of like saying, hey, I don't like chocolate cake, even though everyone else does. There must be something wrong with me. And then there's shame attached. And then it's gone so far out of balance to where people that like chocolate cakes have created a town, and anybody that doesn't like chocolate cake doesn't get to be part of the town. And, it really is just to solidify the value of chocolate cake, right?
And to own that we may be holding these belief systems like the cake with things like money or status or weight or gender or religion. Listen, we're owning it. We're in it. This is messy. It's fantastic. And it's a little bit uncomfortable if you're diving in here.
Right. And that's really what's happening in this month is these are the areas where that might be churning up for you, or might be coming to the surface. Some of these emotions around this dogmatic thinking or these dogmatic belief systems, because we are meant to break out of them. And it is happening in the idea around this right side of your brain. So the right or the feminine part of your aspect, so meaning the intuitive and the thing that is more ethereal functioning. So it doesn't have form, so like what you feel, what your gut is saying, what, this part of your being. So no matter what your gender is, this part of your being, your emotional needs, right? These are the parts that are coming to the surface saying, hey, you've been ignoring me for centuries. And so our root chakras and our sacral chakras are really being activated in the space because it's right. It's like it's ancestral. So because this is those lower three chakras of all of these past lives. So really in our ancestral line. So where have we been holding this dogmatic belief of any area of that? And that's going to be specific to you, but that's really what's been coming up. And it's not easy.
And it's a really, really, really important and good conversation. So this reminder of this podcast of just being present, being in yourself, I have a knowing that there are just magnificent experiences unraveling from this. Like remembering that we must know what we are not to fully embrace who we really are. And you know, one of the things coming up for me, as I was just saying, that I've been really angry. And as I've been angry, I've been wanting to go into spaces of like peacefulness and love and calm. And my being is saying to me, no, you're mad. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I can feel it right here in my gut. I'm like, I'm really mad. Like, this is really upsetting. I want to not feel this way. And my being is like, yeah, that makes sense. And guess what? You're mad. You're mad about so many different things, and it's time to just own how you really feel. And in this mad, I'm going to say this because I haven't totally figured it out yet, but in this anger is my power. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even totally remember what that is. I have inklings. I have remembrances of different experiences when I held power, and it felt so free, so good to be able to expand in such a way that I choose for everyone. I wish that this is part of what I feel my purpose is to help in this area. And so allowing myself to expand here and realizing that for these moments right now, I'm owning that I'm angry and choosing to unravel it and understand it and yes, see it, hear it, validate it, and love it, and owning that it feels uncomfortable and that there's parts of me that I wish it wasn't here. I wish that I have already moved through it, and really honoring also that this is a gift. This is a precious, sacred gift of meeting parts of myself that I feel I wasn't ready to meet prior to now. And that's like the reminder of this energy as the feminine is being infiltrated everywhere. Like we can feel it. Like it's one of the things Wendy and I have talked about is like we feel this is part of what's churning things up. And again, not a feminine gender. That is our experience of this feminine frequency. This is how we've identified it. And it's so much more than that. There's so much more in that.
It is an energy of, you know, when I explored that in my quantum art video, where it's like, it's the magic, it's the sensuality, it's the sexuality. And that has nothing to do with femininity. It has everything to do with just a utilization of the great I am energy that has been out of balance, and we haven't even been utilizing, we've been shutting it down. So instead of it coming in and flowing, right? This intuitive, this sensuality, this sexuality, all of these things, it's the magic, it's the color, it's the joy, you know. And so those are all aspects of what we've defined as feminine energy, but it's just aspects of our soul energy. And so they're really wanting us to kind of shift that and that use it as divine feminine if you need it to, but eventually we will outgrow that, where we're just going to recognize it as, oh, this is just using our chi, using our kundalini, you know, tapping into this energy in our physical bodies and utilizing it in a way that's powerful and that's aligned with love. And it's amazing, and it is powerful, and that's part of what that Ankh is. It is the utilization of this energy in a powerful kind of sacred object. It's the application of this energy in the physical form. So it's,
yeah, I mean, it's truly the being of manifesting, of creating. I mean, you must integrate with these energies to create that which you, I can't speak, which you consciously choose to create. So without it, we're creating or putting out purchase orders that are from our subconscious. So this is bringing your conscious awareness and your energies all in alignment to being the thing that you choose for yourself. So living your life purpose, right? Like many people wish that for themselves. They want these magical, abundant, perfect jobs, let's say. And can we say yes to that for each and every one of us? Yes, yes, yes. And that is being this authentic expression with this feminine knowing this magic, right? Or giving words to something that partly doesn't have them. And that's been part of our struggle all along, is we're like, how do we talk about these things? Because they're not concrete. There's no evidence for them. And of course, we have lots of examples in history, and I would argue evidence, and yet not in the science-based ways yet, because science is still getting better every day at integrating with the unseeable.
Right. And we talked about this in so many different ways, but it's the silence. How do you talk about silence? Because the moment you begin to talk about silence, it's not silent anymore.
Right.
And so, I feel like that's the most perfect example of kind of what we're talking about is there's sacredness that we're trying to bring back, and it is in the moment. And we talk, a lot of teachers talk about stillness, creating a spiritual practice, meditating, tapping into that silent space, but there's so much more to that. It's like dark matter. Like, we don't understand it yet, but we're beginning to understand that it is part of the fabrics of reality, part of we need it. The light needs it to even exist. And it's very misunderstood. So we think it's a bad thing, or just even in our culture, we think that the wildness of feminine emotions because women had access to it, I feel like. And because they had access to it, because we do give birth, so we have access to this primal energy. So we're able to tap into it maybe quicker or sooner because of this ability to create life. And so we had access to it, and because of that access, that wildness, like the volcano, it was always shut down because the logical parts of our beings just didn't like it, and we're uncomfortable, wasn't able to control or manipulate it as much, so we just shut it down everywhere, and then we shamed people for having it. And it's still embedded in our culture today. People that are emotional, their first thing, especially in our Western culture, I'm sure it is in the East, I'm not from that culture, but is they shut it down or they apologize for it. I'm so sorry that I'm crying. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Or that I'm having a hard time, or that I'm
right.
angry. Like, I think about that with the feminine, is like, because within myself, I'm noticing myself saying, like, stop being so angry. You're not allowed to be angry. Like, as if I don't want to be those versions of myself. And they're really important, all of these parts.
Right. And all the shame that goes with it. Like, if you're a spiritual teacher, how could you be angry? You're supposed to, you're supposed to be this perfect being. The thing is, because the earth we're constantly moving, energy is constantly moving and changing. So you're never going to be stuck in one place. And as the earth is awakening, and these memories of even the earth and the memories of these cultures are coming to our consciousness. Like, so the what is it? This, when you're holding down, suppressing, they're suppressing a gender, they're suppressing behaviors. That part is being awakened. So it is angry, and we're all going to experience that, especially if you have consciousness. You're going to feel that. You're going to feel these layers. You're going to be like, whoa, what's the sadness? What are these like layers of grief that are going on with my being as the earth's awakening? And if you are conscious, you're going to feel them, and you're going to be able to move through it.
The same thing is happening within you. Like, I know that you said that, but I just kind of want to highlight. Where's the highlighter? Put that out there. The same exact thing is going on with you. You are realizing, like, everything in this universe is helping you unravel parts of you that are still unresolved or still out of balance. Like, it's so awesome.
Right. So this wave of these memories are coming through, and let's say that they have the suppression frequency with it. If you have any areas of your own being that are suppressed, those are going to be triggered. Or, angry, if they're, those are going to be highlighted right now. And that's partly how it works, the physics of it, how it works. So, and if you don't have, or you've moved through those, you're going to notice them, and you're going to be able to let that wave just kind of move right through you. But you are going to recognize and be like, oh yes, old friend, I recognize you, and I love you, and you're allowed to move through me. And for those of us that have unresolved parts of us, which that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, you're still just moving through it. You're helping move that wave, and you're processing the wave and transmuting it into the light by all the things Brenda said earlier.
And that's how getting better every day looks and feels. It really is. Like, in that way of my discomfort this month. I do feel this excitement meeting up with parts of myself that I'm not sure I've ever really met, to be perfectly honest. And maybe I have, but I don't remember. And so there's joy in this. There's bliss, and like I'm feeling a lot of feelings right now that make me happy. I'm just like, yes, because I need me. I'm coming back to myself, the wholeness of my being. It's so worth it, and it's not easy. And like that one's, I want that to be part of our message for this session too. Is like, this isn't necessarily easy stuff. We're in new territory, which we've said since the incarnation of this podcast. We're in new territory, and it's different and it's unique. And we hope that we offer some comfort and kind of explaining what's coming up for us. And we'd love to hear more from you as far as like, what is it like for you? Because how you feel, what you think, it matters. And it's another unique piece in the wholeness of all of us.
Right. And if you're doing it right, if there is a right, you are going to be feeling these things and kind of diving deep into them and overwhelmed by them maybe in moments. And so, but you're not doing anything wrong. Like, this is just part of this process. And I think that's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. And high five.
Last thing that I maybe want to pull through is like, one of the things that we channeled through about the Ankh is that there's a fire element to it. There's a very blue, fiery component. And so kind of like owning that. So in the energy of that circle, like we saw and felt how fire is meant to be in that. It's meant to burn so like intensely and powerfully and safely, like all at the same time, of just kind of honing in on the very thing that you wish to transmute. It's that proof. It's the great I am. So it can do anything and everything. And that was really important to kind of understand, that it's coming from the feminine, or this energy that is now coming back to balance on the planet. And that was a pretty neat thing to unravel a couple weeks ago.
And it's amazing that, you know, this is about the human spirit and this human soul, and it's beyond race and it's beyond gender. And I do want to honor the ancestors that held this kind of frequency, the Egyptians, and I'm sure there's other
Native Americans,
other beings that have held it
in Australia,
that were able to.
There's anchors in this earth, and they're still holding the energies. You can feel it. Yeah.
But we're just remembering that it is, it's bigger than this one life, you know, and race, and yeah. So
no, and you have to feel that. We have to be silent, still for a moment.
Yeah. Honor the great mother, or being. The great I am, really. It's probably the great I am. It's hard for me, I guess, to be quiet. I'm getting better at it every day. So.
Yeah, notice how you feel in that stillness, right? It's a really important part. Being able to be still.
Yeah.
And feel, because so much of what we're saying cannot be said in words. And I'm going to say that again because it's really important. So much of what we're saying could never be said in words, and we're still speaking them. We're speaking them with our energies, with our hearts. This is how we commune together. And we can even do this through a video or through listening. It's possible. That's how powerful it is. Like, wow, yes.
And we got this.
Yeah, we do.
That's why we're here, and why you're here. You know, if you're listening to this, you know, we came here to transmute this, to shift into a more conscious way of being, you know, more loving way of being, more inclusive way of being. And that's not just with each other, but inclusive with all of our parts. You know, we're going to love our shadow and really learn that the power of love, truly. And it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. So worth it.
It is worth it. All right.
Thank you for listening.
Until next time.
I love you.